show.
Hi everyone, and we've got a very special show for you today. We're going to be talking about the new Keeping Children Safe in Education 2023 legislation and how our products can help you meet those obligations in your school or college.
Yep, hopefully you'll find this really useful, as we know a lot of people have been asking for updates about it because we're seeing KCSIE everywhere. So.
Absolutely. So if we start off with some of the requirements, and we've actually got a breakdown on our website which kind of it pulls out sort of the key bits around the online safety side of things. So we'll stick a link in the comments of this or underneath the video for that. But the first point you need to be looking at is to have appropriate filtering and monitoring systems in place. Now, probably the key thing here is monitoring. I'd be very worried if anybody in an educational establishment is allowing students onto the internet on an unfiltered connection. But monitoring is something that's maybe sometimes misunderstood when we sometimes sort of talk to customers about safeguarding. We'll sort of ask and say, have you got anything in place for safeguarding? And they'll say, oh, yeah, I've got a firewall in place, we're doing filtering. But the monitoring sits on top of the filtering. So your filtering is blocking out all the really nasty stuff, but the monitoring is actually kind of looking at what your students are actually doing, what they're sort of searching for, what they're typing in, and that can help spot things like well-being issues, bullying, that kind of thing that a web filter might not pick up. Now, the big thing with monitoring, and I'm afraid I'm going to get a little bit on my soapbox now, is we sometimes see sort of schools purchase this to tick a box and then they don't actually check what is being captured by the monitoring. This isn't your television license. You don't sort of pay for it once a year and then forget about it until it's due to be renewed. Think of it more like a gym membership. You've paid your money, but unless you're actually utilising the software, you're not going to get any of the benefits. Just as if you're paying for your gym membership each month and you don't bother going, you're going to end up looking like me. So you do need to be, putting the effort in, looking at what is being captured, and also fine-tuning the software. There's not a one-size-fits-all kind of package there. It does require a bit of tuning to fit in with the sort of age group of students in your particular educational establishment, how your safeguarding team work. But that is something we can help you with, and we'll come to that in a moment. But the software, it works. We quite often get sort of feedback from schools saying it's helped them spot students, who have been searching for stuff that indicates, perhaps mental health issues. Or we've even had cases where, they think that we've perhaps prevented a suicide by them actually sort of picking something up early and maybe sort of doing an intervention there. So it is important to have. But as well as actually sort of monitoring what's sort of going on in the background and sort of reviewing that after it's happened, both our Classroom.Cloud and NetSupport school products allow the teacher to monitor in real time what is happening on the devices. Kat, as a teacher, 30 students in a room, you need eyes in the back of your head to sort of see what's going on. So with classroom management, you can see thumbnails of all those screens, so you can spot quite easily, is somebody on something they shouldn't be on, or are they doing something they shouldn't be doing, and just helping you again, just jumping in and preventing them from doing something that you don't want them to be doing or could pose a risk to them.
And when you're looking at things like firewalls and things, it can only be so savvy. There are a lot of ways for kids to kind of get around things, so that's where that monitoring is super key, isn't it? Like you say, to catch all those things they might miss. So it's really giving you those eyes in the back of your head, which you really need. And it really does stress in this new guidance that there should be really key responsibilities assigned for staff, so they should know exactly how they're meant to be managing the filtering, monitoring systems, what their role is within that, and that they should be reviewed at least annually. So that's kind of a hint to do it more often, like Matt said, to keep an eye on it, fine tune it, treat it like a gym membership and actually do it.
Okay, now we come on to the next new point, which is providing training to all staff on online safety. Now, the good news here is that we can offer free training to your staff.
Yay.
So that can be done on Teams. We're happy for you to record those Teams sessions. So if you want to make that available to new starters in the future, you can have that put on your school network somewhere for new starters to access as part of their onboarding process. Now, if you're a DSL, I strongly recommend speak to your IT team, get involved, get some training off us. Too often, sometimes the monitoring and setting the software up is left with the IT team because it runs on a computer. Therefore, it's the IT team that should be dealing with it. As a safeguarding lead, you are best placed in the school to understand the sort of requirements, how the software should be set up. So speak to your IT team. Get some training. We can do 2 sessions. We can do a technical session with your IT team, and we can do something a bit more sort of safeguarding focused and non-techie friendly for your DSLs in the school and other members of the safeguarding team there.
Yeah, absolutely, it's really crucial. And a lot of schools are already providing good training. It's just that as time changes and as new things come up, obviously there's lots more to learn. So by working with tech companies like ourselves, that means you can really be kind of kept up to date with any new trends or concerns in online safety that you might find really useful in that safeguarding training.
So the next point in the updated legislation is having a clear policy on online safety. Now, the policy itself, that is for you obviously to set in your educational establishment, although we do have templates within our products that you can use as a starting point. But both our Classroom.Cloud and NetSupport DNA products have acceptable user policies which can be displayed either at the start of the year for your users to agree to, or they can be displayed every time somebody logs on to a device. Now, the good news is with Classroom.Cloud, we've also added the AUP feature to Chromebooks. So with NetSupport DNA, it's only supported on Windows, but with Classroom.Cloud, we'll support Windows and Chromebooks for the feature. So that should cover the sort of majority of the devices that we're seeing our customers using out in their environments.
And I think one of the key features with those as well is that staff, you can set it so staff do have to accept it, so you know that they've acknowledged and they've actually read those policies. So obviously that's really important. Yeah,
and we also record the time and date and the device that the policy was accepted on. So if there is ever any kind of query about I didn't sign this or I don't remember doing that, you have got a record there of when the policies were accepted.
Another important part to mention is when we're thinking about allegations and concerns. So we have to talk about the child-on-child safeguarding issues as well. So within KCSIE, it specifically mentions child-on-child sexual violence and sexual harassment, as well as you've got your other, of course, wider issues of bullying and any kind of incidents in general that may be between children. And I know, as Matt can explain, we do also have software that can support you in identifying these issues as early as possible.
Yes, so as used sort of during the lockdown and we've seen continue to be used in schools is Microsoft Teams. And Teams is a fantastic tool, but it is incredibly difficult to monitor. So with Classroom.Cloud, we've got a feature where we can actually monitor the Teams messages as they go through Microsoft servers. And that gives us one sort of very key advantage when it comes to keeping your students safe, is that we can monitor Teams messages no matter what device Teams is being used on. So if a student has installed Teams on a personal phone or their computer at home where our software isn't installed, we can still be keeping those students safe and we can be monitoring for any inappropriate chats that are taking place. Because a user has to log into Teams, we can identify the exact user that sent the message, and we can also identify if that message was sent in a one-to-one chat or if it was posted into a channel or team. Now, the great thing about this is that if you've purchased the safeguarding module of Classroom.Cloud, this functionality is included. So there's no additional cost. It's quite easy to set up. If you are struggling, then do reach out to our support team and they can have a remote session with you and guide you through the setup of that portion of the software. Other thing I'd just like to point out is you can be selective in what you do monitor. So you don't necessarily have to be monitoring everything you're doing on Teams. So perhaps you don't want to monitor staff exclusive channels there, or you only maybe want to monitor one-to-one chats. It's entirely up to you. The software can be configured. You can monitor as much or as little as you feel you need to.
Yeah, so that will really help you fulfil that obligation for reporting any signs and concerns that happen off school premises as well as on school and online, specifically. So it is a really good place to be doing that additional monitoring, just to make sure that your children are properly safeguarded at the end of the day.
And the final point we're going to talk about is an optional one, but we sort of strongly recommend that schools do follow this, is considering meeting the cybersecurity standards for schools and colleges. So this is all about knowing what devices that you've got, making sure that the software on them is up to date. And again, this is something that our software can help with. So again, with Classroom.Cloud, NetSupport DNA, we've got IT asset management section within the software. So we can detect the hardware, we can track when devices have been online. We can also pull a list of the software installed on your devices along with version numbers, so you can quickly and easily identify, have you got any software that's out of date, or has somebody perhaps installed a package that they're not authorized to use? Is it a student device? If they installed a VPN that you don't want on that device, that can alert you to that fact as well. So finally, I want to mention our online safety guide, which covers all the latest trends and gives you advice on safeguarding within your school or college. We'll stick a link in the video description below so you can find that. But I think that wraps everything up for today's show, Kat.
Yeah, it does. And if you want any more information on KCSIE, just have a look on our website, because we do have an in-depth document that covers each of the new points and how our software can support you with it. Bye for now.
Bye.